You think you miss them, but you don't. If they came back right now, it wouldn't feel the same. Not because they changed, but because you did. And more than that, the version of you that existed with them doesn't exist anymore. There is a quiet kind of missing that doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't break you. It doesn't make you cry out of nowhere. It just stays. You go through your day. You do what you're supposed to do. You answer messages. You finish your tasks. And then, without warning, something small pulls you back. A place, a voice, a memory you didn't expect. And suddenly, you think of them. And the thought feels simple. I miss them. It feels real. It feels honest. But if you stay with that feeling just a little longer, something underneath it starts to shift. Because what you're feeling is not just about them. It goes deeper than that. Back then, you were a different version of yourself. Not a better one. Not a worse one. Just a version that only existed in that moment of your life. There was a way you spoke, a way you reacted, a way you saw things. Maybe you were more open. Maybe you trusted more easily. Maybe you didn't question everything the way you do now. Or maybe you just didn't know how things would turn out yet. And that matters more than most people realize. Because there is a certain feeling that comes from not knowing, a kind of emotional softness. And once it's gone, you don't get it back in the same form. When someone leaves your life, you don't just lose them. You lose the version of yourself that only existed with them. The way you showed up, the way you felt seen, the way things felt before everything became complicated. That version of you was tied to a specific moment, a specific connection, and once that moment is over, that version fades with it. That's why moving on feels confusing, because part of you thinks you're trying to get them back, but another part of you knows, even if they came back, it wouldn't feel the same. Because you are not the same, and they are not the same, and the space that created that version of you no longer exists. We don't like to admit that. It's easier to believe that maybe we just need closure, or another conversation, or one more chance to do things differently. But that belief comes from the same place, a quiet wish to return to a version of yourself that felt more certain, more connected, more alive in a simple way. And that's where the real difficulty is. Letting go of a person is one thing, but letting go of who you were when you were with them, that's something else entirely. That feels like losing a part of your identity, even if that version of you wasn't perfect, even if it was naive, even if it ignored things it shouldn't have ignored. It was still you. And there is a quiet grief in realizing you can't go back to that. Sometimes you try without realizing it. You revisit old conversations. You replay moments in your head. You think about what you could have said or done differently. You imagine how things could have unfolded if the timing had been better, if you were more ready or less afraid. But all of that comes from the same place, a quiet desire to return to something that no longer exists. And that's what keeps people stuck, not because they truly want the person, but because they want the feeling back, the familiarity, the sense of being in a version of life that felt easier to understand. But here is the part that takes time to accept. You are not meant to go back to that version of yourself. Not because it was wrong, but because it was temporary. It belonged to a different moment, and you have already moved beyond that point. Even if it doesn't feel like progress, even if it just feels like loss, there is a shift that happens when you begin to see this clearly. You stop asking, "Do I still miss them?" And you start asking, "What part of me am I actually holding on to?" And that question changes everything. Because now, it's not about them anymore. It's about you. Maybe what you miss is how open you used to be. Maybe it's how hopeful you felt. Maybe it's the version of you that believed things would work out without forcing them. And maybe you think that version is gone. But it isn't. It didn't disappear. It just changed. Growth doesn't always feel like becoming something better. Sometimes it feels like losing access to something softer, something simpler, and you don't know how to return to it. But maybe you're not supposed to return. Maybe you're supposed to move forward with a different kind of awareness, not to recreate who you were, but to become someone who understands more, sees more clearly, and chooses differently. Because the truth is, you don't actually want to go back. You just want to feel that sense of connection again, that sense of being present in your own life without confusion. And that doesn't belong to the past. It's something you can still experience, just not in the same way. So the next time you feel that quiet pull, that moment when you think you miss someone, don't rush to label it. Stay with it. Look a little deeper. Because maybe you're not missing them. Maybe you're remembering a version of yourself that once felt more certain, more open, more like home. And maybe the real question is not how to get that back, but who you are becoming now without it.